Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I want to give you a 6-month review on these headlights I got for the 2010 Mercury Grand Marquis. I got these back in January of 2019, so about 6 months ago. And the reason why I replaced the headlights is when I got the car, the headlights just looked a little bit dim to me. There was no real issues or problems. I just wanted to see if I could improve upon that. So luckily I haven't had to buy a new pair of headlights in, gosh, about 10 years. And so the first place I went, I bought a set of the Sylvania Silver Star headlights, and they were around, I think they were $40 for a pair. And those were supposed to be the brightest headlights around 10 years ago. That was the premium set. So I got them, I put them in, and they weren't any brighter than the ones that came in the car. And the ones that came in the car were the original ones. So I took them back, I returned them, and then I got online and I started doing research. And the LED technology for headlights, has come along so far that they really are the bee's knees right now. So I watched a bunch of reviews on YouTube, and like the best top quality LED headlights run around $100 a pair. But one thing I really didn't like about them is that one thing about that pair for $100 is they have a fan. They have a cooling fan on the back of it, and that's because they get so hot. They've got to have that cooling fan to keep it cool from overheating. And I really didn't like that, because if that fan goes out, it's going to overheat and it's just going to blow up that LED headlight bulb. So I really was not interested in a fan on the headlight. Also, I read some reviews. The fan can actually be so noisy that you can hear it when you're idling with the windows down at a stoplight. So that's another reason why I wasn't interested in a fan design. So I started watching more reviews, and I found these. These are called the Beamtech LED headlight kit. And I don't know why they call it a kit, because there's no parts in here. It's just two bulbs. They're strictly just plug and play. There's nothing you have to hook up or install. It's just a bulb. And the reason why I really like these is because they're fanless. There's no fan. It's got this huge aluminum heat sink on the back of it to dissipate all that heat. And this particular model is the H13, and that's because this is a Grand Marquis, and it's got slightly different headlight housing than the Crown Victoria and the Lincoln Town Car. So I'll open this up for you. It comes in a really nice protected box, and these are the old headlights here. You can tell, it's pretty black, and on this side, it's pretty clear. So I'm almost positive these are the factory headlight bulbs. It says they're Philips H13 12 volt, 60 and 55 watt. So I guess that means 55 watt is the low beam and 60 watt is the high beam. So they worked. There's nothing wrong with them. They just look just a little bit dim to me, and it's probably because of their age. They're 9 years old or 8 years old. So I got the Beamtechs in, and one thing I noticed is it came with this little tool here, this little Allen wrench. And in the owner's manual, it says that depending on what type of car you have or your housing, you may need to adjust the position of the LED chip that's in the bulb here, and I thought that was pretty neat. So you may need to flip it 180 degrees to make sure that it sits in the housing properly. So luckily, when I put them in, they fit I mean, of course they fit, but the position of the chip was correct. And I won't be able to show you what they look like because they're installed in the car. Well, maybe I can show you on this photo. But the placement of the chips, where they're at on the I don't know, the structure, is they're made to mimic exactly where the elements are in a standard incandescent bulb. So they do a really good job of reproducing the same exact beam pattern that's coming out of your reflector housing. And that's probably the biggest challenge of replacing a halogen bulb, an incandescent halogen, with an LED, is getting the beam pattern correct. Because, you know, we all know people driving around town with these headlights, and they're basically floodlights. You know, it's not focused properly, it's not going in the right direction, it's just like it just puts out a wall of light. And what that ends up doing is it ends up blinding oncoming drivers, pedestrians, anybody on the sidewalk, you know, bicyclists. And that's exactly what you don't want to do. You only want the lights on the road in front of you so you're not blinding everybody. And that's what I really liked about these. These mimic the factory beam pattern, you know, about as close as possible. I did have to make an adjustment on the headlights horizontally and vertically, but that's probably just because they were out of focus to begin with. It wasn't the fault of these bulbs. So as far as the brightness on these, I'm really impressed with the brightness. The brightness is about 50% brighter than stock, but where these really shine, where these really come into play and bring their value, is the color temperature. The color temperature of these lights is fantastic. On the website it says they're stated at 6500K, but the review I watched on these exact headlights, they measured it with, you know, some kind of fancy light measuring device, and they said it was actually closer to 5000K. And again, I like that too, because, you know, 6500K, that's starting to get into like the purple or the really ultraviolet blue light, and I really didn't like that. I just wanted pure white light. And these don't put out that pure white light, but they put out just a hair over that. So it's just getting into that, you know, super HID bluish tint look, but it's still acceptable. Okay, let me give you a look at what they look like in the car, shining in the garage on the door. And when I got these, I also did a before and after comparison and a side-by-side comparison. So I'll leave the link to that video in the description of this video. So let me turn the lights off in here. Okay, so there's the parking lamps, and those are the low beam headlights, and that's the high beam. One thing about this is that the high beams on this are kind of underwhelming, and that probably has to do with the alignment of the LED chips in the reflector housing. It's a little bit disappointing. Usually when you hit your brights, you know, they get much brighter and they light up the whole road. But with these bulbs, they really don't do that. It's kind of a letdown, but you know, 99% of your driving it's on the low beam setting, and that's where these bulbs shine. Pun intended. That's where these bulbs really do give their improvement is on the low beam setting. So once again, that's the high beam, that's the low beam. And once again, I will put the link of the video when I went out and drove with these on a dark road, and then I did a side-by-side comparison, and that's a pretty neat video. It shows you the stock bulb versus these LEDs. Alright, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.